Boldwood presents No Strings Attached. Written by Christy McKellen and read by Amara Moore and Tom Aikman. Chapter 1. Kit. Tokyo train station is crazy making. It seems every human on Earth has decided to visit Japan to see the spring cherry blossom at the same time, and we're all heading for the same Shinkansen to Kyoto. It doesn't help that I'm bleary-eyed after my 14-hour flight from London either, even though I managed to get a bit of kip thanks to the brilliant invention of lie-flat beds in first class. I mean, sure, I could have just had an executive service drive me to my final destination. That's usually how I choose to get around these days when I'm transferring between plane and hotel. But the train is so much faster, and I'm pumped to experience travelling at nearly 200 miles per hour aboard the famous bullet train. Luckily, the green car is much less busy than the standard class carriage, and I find my seat easily and crank it back to get comfortable, ready for the 2-hour journey. Closing my gritty eyes, I force my thoughts away from the whole shit show that was meant to be the reason I was here, my now cancelled wedding. I'm here to distract myself from all that, though I'm well aware of the irony that the hotel I'm heading to was going to be where we stayed on our honeymoon. I'm reclaiming it as the place I'm going to get my shit together instead. Positive thinking. Something my therapist is always encouraging me to practice. We set off at exactly the time advertised. The Japanese trains are famously punctual, which I appreciate, especially since I'm desperate to have a shower the minute I get to the Vanaheim Grand, one of a string of 5-star hotels owned by one of my best buddies, Elliot. The guy is a phenomenon and a real inspiration. As the third child of 4 siblings, brought up by a single mum after his dad died when he was 3, he put himself through uni by doing freelance coding jobs, a skill he'd begun teaching himself during his tweens. Despite his tough early life, the dude dreamed big, and after fulfilling his goal of becoming a billionaire through hard work, guile and skill, a journey he brought me and our friend Rafa along on, gaining us entry onto the rich list and changing all our lives, he was able to finance the takeover of what's become one of the most luxurious and sought-after global hotel chains in the world, with sites in Japan, Sri Lanka, the Maldives and St. Lucia, to name a few. Anyway, spending a week or 2 here in the Kyoto hotel ought to be enough time to sort my head out. Then I can refocus and move on with the new direction I'm taking my life in, now the path I was travelling on has blown up in my face.
Chloe, Tokyo train station is such a buzz. Okay, I'm pretty tired after not getting much sleep in my cramped economy plane seat, especially since I was in the middle of the middle row with a restless, bored child on one side of me and an armrest-hogging giant on the other. But I don't care right now. I'm here in Japan. Finally. It's been on my bucket list to visit since I was 14 and fell in love with manga and Studio Ghibli movies, and I can hardly believe I'm actually here. In my daydreams, it's always been the place I spend my honeymoon, which is a bit of a shame, as my ex-fiancé decided at the last minute he didn't fancy getting married to me after all. Not that I'm letting that get me down while I'm here. It's his loss if he's decided marriage to me isn't what he wants. And there was no way on earth I wasn't coming on this trip. Not when I've saved every extra penny for years to be able to afford to come and stay in the famous Vanaheim Grand Hotel in Kyoto for a few days, before travelling back to Tokyo via the Studio Ghibli park. Nothing, and I mean nothing, was going to stop me. Not even a failed wedding. I make my way to where the Shinkansen tracks are, taking a couple of minor misturns in the process, what with the barely decipherable signs and hordes of tourists in my path, but manage to get onto the platform I need 2 minutes before the train I booked is due to leave. Arms shaking under the weight, I stow my case on the overhead shelf just as the train begins to move. My heart is racing from the stress of checking I'm getting on the right one and finding my allocated seat in the almost full carriage, and I take a calming breath before flopping into it with a sigh of relief. Once settled, I close my eyes and wait for my breathing to return to normal, trying not to think about the fact the empty seat next to me should be filled by the guy I've loved since we met at university, and who I genuinely thought I was going to be spending the rest of my life with. My best friend Sadie's voice floats into my head. Maybe it's for the best. You're free to do whatever you want now. Yeah, maybe. Anyway, like I said, I'm not going to dwell on that. I'm here for some distraction and a change of scene. There will be plenty of time to deal with the reality of it all when I get home. But for now, I'm choosing not to let his betrayal ruin this for me. Humiliation can take a seat, and serious relationships too. I'm doing me right now.
Kit. I'm seriously impressed by the Vanaheim Grand when I rock up to it in my executive cab. It's one of Elliot's favourites, so he tells me, and he's spared no expense making it one of the crown jewels of his chain. Perched high on the gorge above the Katsura River, it has stunning views of the tree-filled banks and the wide expanse of water, which is sitting fairly low at the moment, though still deep enough for boat rides, so I'm told. I plan on getting a private hire boat to take me along the famous stretch from Kamioka back to just past the hotel at Arashiyama. I guess I'll do some other sightseeing too, but I'm here mostly to chill, so that's what I'll be doing for the majority of the time. I have my own private pool in the apartment I'm staying in, as well as a hot tub and a gym, and there's a dining area where I can eat uninterrupted, so that's cool. And if I get antsy, I'll head into Kyoto and have a look around. It has good shopping, apparently, and some decent restaurants where I can eat if I get bored with the food at the hotel. Michelin-style dining is all very well, and pretty much all I've eaten since hitting the jackpot and getting extremely fucking rich a couple of years ago. But sometimes you just crave the simple comfort of a burger and fries, you know what I mean? I down the glass of sake they gave me at the reception desk while I wait for them to log my passport details and take a moment to look around me. The reception area is knockout beautiful, with traditional Japanese dark wooden framed walls and off-white paper-panelled shutter doors segregating the space, and there are flowers everywhere. Out of the large windows along the back wall, I can see the river winding through the trees below us. Over on the far side of the reception, there's a well-stocked bamboo bar and seating area, with those very low tables and chairs they tend to favour here. All the colours are muted and tasteful as hell, just like the hotel's owner. Elliot was always the quiet one in our group of 3 at university, but when he did speak, whatever came out of his mouth was of the highest quality. Due to his upbringing, he's been used to looking after himself all his life, so spends a lot of time in his own head. It always amused me to see hot women try to get his attention at uni, and after it, only for him to barely register them. There's a wealth of gold in there, though, if you gain the privilege of penetrating his walls, like Rafa and I did. In all seriousness, I'd put my life on the line for both those guys. A finger of unease pokes at my brain. Elliot still hasn't replied to the text I sent him a couple of weeks ago, which isn't like him. When I spoke to his PA, she seemed a little cagey and just gave me some brush-off answer like, he's taking some time out right now, and claimed he'd given her no more detail than that. I'm not exactly worried about him. He can take care of himself fine, but it's unusual for him not to get back to me quickly. I fire off a message to Rafa, asking if he's heard from him. He replies quickly with, "Not heard of Dickie for a while. I'm guessing he's deep inside some complicated new business deal. Or a woman. Hopefully the latter. The dude deserves some fun." I reply, "My thoughts exactly. How's life with you?" A moment later, I get back, "Rocking. My stepbro's getting hitched soon, though, and I'm being pressured by the olds to go along and play nice. Thinking about taking someone unsuitable for my date for Jinx. Got any connects I can tap? I laugh out loud. This is typical Rafa humour. He's never got on with his stepfamily, who've treated him like shit since his dad remarried when he was 9. He usually makes a point of steering well clear of them all now. Makes me wonder what kind of pressure they're putting on him to make him turn up for this wedding. Or maybe he's thinking of using it as a chance to get some payback. He's not the Machiavellian type, but I wouldn't blame him for making trouble in this instance. He's had to put up with a lot from those fuckers. I type back. No one comes to mind, Stat. I'll think on it. Keep me posted. Sounds like it could turn into quite the showdown. My focus is pulled away from my phone screen when a sleek grey minibus with the hotel's livery pulls up outside the main entrance. A driver gets out to open the sliding door and allow a lone guest to exit. My stomach does a weird swoop as a sixth sense about the woman who's alighting makes me pay closer attention. There's something unnervingly familiar about her. I can't see the whole of her face because it's partly obscured by a wide-brimmed sun hat, but there's something about the fluid, elegant way she moves, a bit like a dancer, plus the glow of her perfect, honey-coloured skin that grabs me by the throat. And her mouth. Wide and plump and sensual. It makes me think about things I really shouldn't be thinking about in the middle of a public space, especially because my body reacts accordingly. There's only one person I've ever met who's had that kind of effect on me, and it's not someone I thought I'd ever see again, especially not here, not now. As if she sensed my interest, the woman raises her head and looks directly towards where I'm standing staring at her, unable to drag my gaze away. A hot shiver runs from the top of my scalp all the way to my feet. No fucking way.
Chloe. After stepping down from the hotel shuttle bus, I take a deep breath of the fresh, oxygenated air. It smells amazing here, so earthy and woody. I wave away the kind driver's offer to wheel my suitcase into reception for me. I've never stayed in a 5-star hotel before, so I'm not exactly sure how to act. Are you meant to tip? I've been told there isn't a tipping culture in Japan, but does that apply to these sorts of hotels too? I don't want to get it wrong and appear rude or thoughtless, but I also don't want to step on a custom and make anyone feel uncomfortable. It's a bloody minefield. No wonder rich people seem so uptight. Thankfully, the guy doesn't give me a chance to put my hand in my pocket and performs a friendly, respectful bow before getting back into the minibus. I grab the handle of my suitcase and turn towards the main doors to the hotel. It's like walking up to paradise. The entrance is a sea of green, or should I say a river, since we're on the bank of one. It's so lush and vibrant, and it makes my heart soar to see it. I love being amongst greenery. The charity I've been working for since graduating from university is heavily invested in rewilding and maintaining and protecting forests and green spaces in the UK, so I live and breathe plants and trees. The hotel has been built with a lot of wood, helping it blend into the landscape, though I know for a fact that it was constructed many years ago using sustainable sources. It's one of the reasons I wanted to stay here. Adrian had wanted to book into a place in the middle of Kyoto for the nightlife, but I was adamant I wanted somewhere quieter. I pointed out that we could travel into the city to find the fun if we were struggling to make our own. He'd given in to my wants, as he'd always done, being far more laid back than me. But of course, I realise now that it was more to do with his guilt about the second thoughts he was having about us getting married. A hot, sickening sort of dismay rises through me, but I push it down again. I have a horrible feeling it's going to take me a long time to trust a partner again. Hopefully, a week here will help lift the heavy malaise that's been dragging at me since the weekend anyway. I haven't cried yet, but I can feel it bubbling away below the surface. Distraction is what I need. As I move towards the entrance doors, they open with a soft swooshing sound, and I walk into the reception area, pulling my case behind me. It takes a second for my eyes to get used to the change in light, as it's a lot more muted in here, but when I do, I realize I'm looking directly at a tall, broad-shouldered man who's standing in front of the reception desk. He's staring right back at me. There's something oddly familiar about him. My whole body gives a shiver, sending an electric sort of tingle across my skin, as my mind clicks together the pieces of memory I need to form the information I'm grasping for. Oh my God. Kit Charleston. Of all the places and times to see him again. Seriously, Karma. Right now.
Kit. What are the odds of Chloe Dasher turning up here, on the other side of the world, just when I'm trying to avoid thinking about anything from the past? I came all the way here precisely to get away from England, in order to get my head straight. But seeing Chloe has brought all the feelings I thought I'd left there rushing back to the forefront of my mind. Is this holiday going to turn out to be some Scrooge-type scenario? Girlfriends, past, present and future, coming to fuck with me? "Hello, stranger," I say, as she walks up to where I'm standing at the reception desk. "I thought I was hallucinating there for a second," she says by way of reply, shaking her head in wonder. "Nope, it's really me, in the flesh, bumping into you in Japan of all places, after not seeing you for, what, 5 years? Second year of university, right? So yeah, about 5 years?" A memory of us fucking flashes through my head. We'd been dynamite together in the sack. We'd had a certain type of chemistry I've not been able to reproduce with anyone else. Not even Katya, though it was a different kind of vibe I've had with her. Don't get me wrong, the sex was great, just not as electric as it had been with Chloe. And you need more than sex to make a long-term relationship last, as she and I discovered 5 years ago. We'd had a lot of fun together at the time, though. I don't think I've ever met anyone as headstrong and forthright as Chloe. She always said really left-field things, stuff I never heard coming out of anyone else's mouth, and it had fascinated me. I'd loved how unpredictable she was. It became clear we weren't that compatible on an emotional level, because she'd been after a more committed kind of relationship, so it had blown itself out after a few months together. We'd parted on fairly decent terms, but had run in different social circles, and she'd got together with some other guy pretty quickly after we split, so I'd honestly never expected to see her again. "So, what brings you to Japan?" I ask, hoping, the moment after I've said it, that she doesn't ask me the same thing. I don't really want to get into the whole cancelled wedding shitshow with her right now. If she does ask, I'm just going to say I'm here to get some R&R after a heavy work stint. She'll never know it's not entirely accurate. We don't have any mutual friends or acquaintances anymore, so she's unlikely to have heard about my situation. Chloe visibly swallows, and something that looks a lot like sadness flashes across her face. How weird. I hope no one died. There's a heavy pause before she gives me a strained smile and says, "This was meant to be my honeymoon, but the wedding didn't happen. I came anyway for a holiday." Her honesty knocks the wind out of me. Well, hell, I can't very well lie to her now about why I'm here. Not when she's just trusted me with that. So I say, "Snap." She frowns and wrinkles her freckle-scattered nose at me. Yeah, she's still as pretty as she was when I last saw her. Prettier, even. In fact, if anything, she's grown more into her looks, which are now verging on beautiful. Damn it. I really shouldn't be noticing things like that right now. "What do you mean, snap?" she asks, sounding confused. "I mean snap. Me too." She shakes her head, still baffled it seems. "You two What? I was meant to be here on my honeymoon too. This time her mouth falls open and she stares at me in shock. Are you kidding? Why would I kid about something like that? An expression of remorse crosses her face. Shit, sorry, I don't know why I said that. I guess the whole being abandoned at the altar thing has left me with trust issues. She flashes an apologetic smile. And I'm a bit freaked out about seeing you here, if I'm honest. It's made my head spin. Plus I'm jet-lagged, so a triple whammy. I nod. Yeah, me too. It's a long flight from London. So, you're here for a holiday too? She asks. Yep. And you're on your own? I am. How are you finding that? I always had you pegged as an extrovert who needs to have people around to give you energy. To give me attention, you mean? I say wryly, harking back to a conversation we'd had years ago. Actually, I just got here myself, I say, before she has a chance to reply. But I'm looking forward to having some time on my own. Really? Her tone is full of disbelief. Yes, really. I can spend time on my own, you know. I'm not that shallow, I joke. She holds up both hands, palms forward. Sorry, I didn't mean to imply that you were. She clears her throat. So, what happened to your relationship, if you don't mind me asking? I fold my arms and shrug. Katya, decided I wasn't the guy she wanted to get hitched to after all. She gives a little hiccupy sort of laugh. Snap. This time I give her a questioning frown. A sad smile plays about her gorgeous mouth. My ex-fiancé realised he was in love with a guy he works with, and not with me after all. So he dumped me for him. Wedding cancelled. Life reset. Oh, shit. Yeah. Not the happy ever after I was hoping for. You know that doesn't really exist, don't you? This whole idea of the perfect relationship. It's just a vehicle for selling romantic novels, films, and heart-shaped merchandise, I say, batting a dismissive hand. The corner of her mouth twitches up. You reckon? Yeah. Okay, well, thanks for that insight. It's really cheered me up. Her ironic tone is laced with amusement. It takes me right back to when we were dating. I'd found her dry sarcasm a real turn-on when we first got together. Or, I should say, when we first started fucking. She seems to think she's crossed a line of politeness, though, because she takes a step back and flips me an apologetic smile. Anyway, I think it's probably time I checked in and went straight to bed. I barely slept at all on the flight. As much as I don't want them to, my thoughts immediately turn to an image of her naked, climbing into her bed. What the fuck is wrong with me? Is horniness a side effect of jet lag? Maybe it's because my body's aware it's unlikely to get any action in the immediate future and is rebelling. Well, it can rebel all it likes. There's no way on earth Chloe and I will be partaking any kind of skin-on-skin activity. She's clearly hurting from her relationship falling apart, and I'm guessing she probably wants nothing to do with men right now. Okay, well, have a good holiday. It's good to see you. A mindfuck, but a cool one, I say, stepping aside so she can get to the reception desk. I nod to the receptionist, who hands me back my passport and a room key, and I turn to leave. Yeah, fucked up, but good to see you too, Chloe says, giving me a tight smile, then turning away to check in at the desk. I feel well and truly dismissed, which is fine by me. I just want to get to my room and chill for a while now anyway. A porter appears as if by magic and gives me a polite bow before picking up my case and leading me away from the desk and towards the apartment where I'm going to be staying. It's one of 5 exclusive residences dotted along the riverbank and is nestled amongst the lush greenery of the hotel's extensive grounds. They have both tennis and paddle courts at the far end, as well as a whole separate building housing a spa where they offer the most cutting-edge treatments available. The rich and famous often book in here specifically to use the world-class facilities and re-energize after a heavy work stint. Tiredness swamps me, and I let out a big yawn as I follow him through a beautifully curated Japanese-style garden with its waterfall running gently into a pond full of koi fish. Perhaps a power nap will sort me out, reset my body clock. Then I'll be ready to get into my holiday. I glance back towards the main building of the hotel. I wonder if that's the last I'll see of Chloe Dasher.
Chapter 2. Chloe. Jeez, that was awkward. Of all the times to bump into Kit. If you'd asked me to guess when I'd have been most likely to see him again, my honeymoon for one in Japan would not have featured on the list. I actually feel a bit shaky from the shock of seeing him again. How bizarre that he's here after his own failed wedding too. As I'd stared into his handsome, spine-tinglingly familiar face, after he'd asked me what I was doing here, I'd felt a strong urge to make something up about being on a scouting mission for my job or something. But at the very last second, I decided, what's the point? I'd only have to keep up the ruse all week during the numerous times I'm bound to bump into him, since we're both staying here. I'm way too stressed already to put up with that kind of bullshit. And I've never been the type to mince my words, as my friends and my ex will tell you. As Kit will tell you too. My skin heats as I remember the hot sex we used to have all those years ago. Unfortunately, it had become obvious pretty quickly that there was no future for us as a couple. He had no interest in getting into anything serious, which I'd wanted from a relationship at the time, so it had been better for us to finish things and move on. He'd not seemed too cut up about it, but I'd had a few moments of regret right after we'd split, when I wondered whether I'd done the right thing. But then I got together with Adrian and barely saw Kit around after that, and he'd mostly faded into the background of my life. I'm sure he wasn't on his own for long either. He was always really popular. And even if getting married didn't work out for him this time, I'm sure there will be plenty of gorgeous, willing women to take his ex's place the moment he's ready for them to sashay up to him. Because he's a sexy guy. And he can be funny. And he's incredible in bed. Time to change the subject, I think, brain. Kit Charleston is the very last person I should be thinking about right now. He wasn't right for me then, and he's no doubt not right for me now. People don't change. Not really. And I'm probably only projecting these inappropriate feelings onto him because of how out of control Adrian's left me feeling. Sexual jealousy is a potent aphrodisiac. I take my passport back from the receptionist when she hands it over and return her bow as she gives me the keycard to my room. "The porter will be back any moment to take your suitcase to your room and show you around, madam," the receptionist says. I hold up my hand. "No need. Thank you. Can you just point me in the right direction? I'd rather find my room myself, and I'm fine with my suitcase," I add. I really don't want to get into the whole do-I-tip head mash thing again. "Of course," the receptionist says with a confused smile. Clearly, people who come here don't normally tend to lug their own bags around. "You're down this corridor to the very end, and it's the last room on the right." "Thanks," I say, giving her a bright smile before setting off in the direction she sent me. I find my room easily and let myself in with the keycard. After taking off my shoes in the entrance hall and pointing them towards the door, I walk into the room and gasp in glee. It's even more beautiful than the website made it look. I'd been worried it would actually be a bit pokey and more soulless than it seemed in the pictures, but no, it's perfect. There's a huge black lacquered four-poster bed with crisp white cotton sheets and squidgy-looking pillows, and on each side hang semi-opaque silk drapes which can be pulled round for privacy. By both sides of the bed stand elegant urushi black lacquered cabinets with paper panels and gold detail handles. The walls of the room are painted in a soft duck-egg blue, and there's wood-coloured rush matting on the floor, giving the sense of the outdoors inside. Through the large windows, I can see the lush green banks of the river and the water flowing past, the sun glinting off the surface and making it sparkle. It's the height of opulence and good taste. Leaving my suitcase by the wardrobe, I stumble over to the bed, pull off my clothes, which I leave in an untidy pile on the floor, and crawl under the covers. I'm so ridiculously tired now after being up for a whole day. There's no way I'm keeping my eyes open till 9 p.m, like they advise you do if your flight lands in the morning. Sod that. I need to sleep. Just a couple of hours. Then I'll be refreshed and ready to enjoy my first evening here.
Kit. I can't sleep. Even though my body's telling me it's actually the early hours of the morning in the UK and I should have a kip, my brain is determined to keep me awake. Bloody Chloe Dasher. Seeing her has made my mind spin and dredged up intense memories of how hot we'd been together. She's still got it. More than it, in fact. I can't help but laugh, though not with any kind of joy. Bloody hell. Talk about bad timing. Why did I have to bump into her now when she's in a bad place? And how did my life go tits up like this? It was looking so good there for a while. I had everything I'd ever wanted. Money, status, a beautiful fiancé, excitement about my future. The world was my fucking oyster. So how did I end up here? Alone in Kyoto, like some shit homage to a noughties pop song. Although, to be fair, I'm not entirely alone. Not if I don't want to be. I had thought before I came here that that's what I needed. But actually now I'm on the ground and I've had a moment to come round, I'm beginning to wonder whether I'll go a bit stir-crazy on my own. Maybe I should go for a swim in the communal hotel pool and see who's around. Check the place out a bit. There might be other people like me that I can strike up a conversation with to distract myself. In fact, there are bound to be. There might even be someone I recognise here. Someone else. I'm not expecting or hoping to see Chloe there, though. I suspect she'll be dead to the world right now, judging by how tired she'd said she was. Yeah, a swim and a drink by the pool might be just the thing to calm my rattled nerves. I take a fast shower and change into my swimwear, then put on the robe and sliders the hotel has helpfully left by the door. The path to the outdoor pool is quiet, but when I reach the poolside, it's buzzing with people. There are a couple of loungers free on the opposite side of the pool, so I head over to them and lay my towel along one. I'll take a swim first before lying on it. It's pretty warm here, even though we're still in the spring season. It's certainly much warmer than it was when I left the UK anyway. I prepare to dive in at the deep end, aware of a small group of women lounging in the water at the shallow end of the pool, sipping cocktails. I feel their gazes on me, and the attention gives me a thrill. Yeah, I've still got it. Even if Katya doesn't want me anymore, there'll be plenty of women who do. I know my strengths and make the most of them. I've had to. She's been working as a model for the last year and was always surrounded by the hippest, most attractive people, so I've been taking good care of myself. It's taken me hours a day in the gym and an eye-watering fee employing the skills of one of the top personal stylists in London to create the appearance I'm rocking now. Tough work, but totally worth it. It turns out even a perfectly honed body and £1,000 personally tailored suits weren't enough to keep Katya's attention, though. She's now back with her ex, I hear, even though it's only been a month since she killed our engagement. He's a billionaire too, and Rafa tells me he's recently bought the coolest, most exclusive fashion house of the moment, which, surprise, surprise, she's going to be the new face of. A hot ticket to ultra fame for a model. So that explains a lot. One of Katya's skills is getting friendly with people who are going to get her to where she wants to go. Fame and success are her key.